Welcome back to another episode of The Family Album. I'm your host, AJ Tenari.
And I'm Matt Glass.
Last week, we talked about some uncommon albums discussing Soft Machine's Bundles and the Petrojevic Blasting Company's A History of Brief Public Relations Dilemma.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm impressed I remembered that,
I feel like you deserve a medal for that. That's a long-ass name.
It very much is. And luckily, this week, we don't have too many long names either for these albums. Because they're pretty fucking well known.
Just some really long tracks.
That is true.
If you can't already tell, we have a third person in the studio with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Tim Jones.
That's his last name.
What's up, everybody? I am Tim Jones. That's my last name.
I realized as I was about to introduce you, I had no idea what your last name was.
That's why I went in coming for the save.
I am the opposite of Tom. I love albums.
That is true. Tim and Tom. It's like
Yeah.
yin and yang. Yin and yang, if you will. Because, I know.
No, yeah.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
But Tim, would you like to kind of tell us a little bit about your musical background, musical interests, any kind of musical projects you got going on?
I am mainly a guitarist. I also rap. I love music. I've been playing music since I was like 8. Can I say that I picked the things for today?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I picked the albums for today because those are two of my favorite artists in my top 5 of all-time favorite, which is Kendrick being, under fire right now by lawsuits and everything like that. I was like, oh, you know what? We're going to take this time and take advantage. Talk
very
about
relevant
Kung
right now.
Fu Kenny.
Yeah.
And then it's always a great time to talk about Pink Floyd.
Exactly. Timeless.
Being one of my favorite bands of all time. But yeah, so I play guitar, I rap, I have a band, I'm in another band.
That's true. What are your bands called?
One is called Altruistic Vision, and the other day is Fataday Korngor, which
Yes.
I'm lead guitarist in both, and one of them I'm a front man, and Fataday occasionally be making me say things into the microphone, but I argue with them, so I try not to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Longtime fans of the Family Album might know Fataday from season 1. But yeah, we'll put Tim's socials in the description. Check out Altruistic Vision. Also check out Fataday Korngor because, I'm kind of also the drummer for that band too.
Yo, he's the human metronome that keeps us together.
That's what they call me. But Tim, so you said you brought on Kendrick and Pink Floyd. What is the theme for the albums that you brought on this week?
So I was sitting in my room doing things that Tim does, which is, enjoy my time with Mary Jane. And I was thinking about animals, and I was thinking about Kendrick, and I was sitting there and I was like, yo, what's kind of crazy is Kendrick has this self-reflection all throughout his album. And I feel like he, in the album, represents the 3 stages of the animals that are animals of Pink Floyd.
Damn.
So it's they both have the social commentary of the pigs being the bureaucracy and all of that and blah, blah, blah. And Kendrick, being like, hey, I'm King Kunta. I got all this power. I'm misusing my influence. And it's there's different times in the album throughout of that social commentary of being oh, I'm on top, but I may be on top, but I'm still, I'm still a black man in America.
Yeah.
And during the 70s, when you think about what was going on with Pink Floyd and Animals, and all of these punk bands are coming out being oh, well, Pink Floyd ain't shit because they're part of the bureaucracy and they're part of the system and blah, blah. I think the Sex Pistols had shirts that were
built some beef fuck Pink Floyd or Pink Floyd's lame. I hate Pink Floyd.
Yeah, some shit like that.
Yeah.
They were haters, bro.
Yeah.
And they were just mad because David Gilmour could do some tasteful ass solos
He could.
and they couldn't.
Yeah.
But it just made me think about, the representation of being a part of the system while also being against the system.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I can see
parallels, similarities.
Yeah, thank you. Between both albums. So I guess that's the theme.
Yeah, I mean, you were telling me because I was curious about how they would relate, but then once you kind of brought up that connection of how they're both about social commentary and living conditions as the people they are. Kendrick is a black man in America, and Pink Floyd is a prog band in Thatcher's Britain.
Yeah.
Or Thatcher's England. It's there are definitely a lot of parallels and differences about how they handle that.
And it's crazy because the albums are 30, 40 years apart.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There's still weird shit going on
man.
in the world.
They connect.
Still very relevant. Let the record show, I had no idea that was the connection between these two albums. So when I was listening to it, I was like, well, this is... I
wonder what our theme is.
Right?
You really eloquently
tied
told
it all
us this
together.
theme.
Honestly,
honestly, wow.
Thank you.
I feel like we could honestly wrap up here. That was brilliant.
Well, as much as we would love to do that, there's still a lot to discuss on both of these albums.
Boy,
So
howdy
much.
is there.
Yeah. So, Tim, what album would you like to start with this week?
I'm gonna flip the imaginary coin that's in my hand, and whatever shows up in my mind first, boom, that is heads. So we're gonna go with To Pimp a Butterfly.
All right. Sounds good.
Amazing.
So Matt will hit us with a little bit of history.
To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar was released on March 16th of 2015 under TDE, Aftermath, and Interscope, and is the third studio album by Kendrick Lamar. The record vehicles a political commentary through the lens of a poem. The two main characters in the said poem are the caterpillar, representative of Kendrick's worn out and jaded views on society after living in it, and the butterfly, which represents the emergence of creativity after spending time in a cocoon. And to quote someone on Reddit, I did not segue out of that very well at all. I meant to write a sentence in between. To quote someone on Reddit, though, they said, in the beginning, Kendrick, the caterpillar, is alone and small, but in the end, Kendrick, the butterfly, has completely changed and become something large and full of life with new ideas and outlooks. Henceforth, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Very much so. And there's a lot of like self-reflection and growing on this album through this like whole journey that Kendrick takes through like each of these tracks. But I guess without further ado, should we just hop right into it?
Let's do it.
Cool.
All right, so this album opens up with Wesley's Theory, arguably one of the greatest album openers of all time. This shit fucking rules.
Dude, that shit, the first time I heard that shit, I was like, oh my God.
Right?
Because we all like, you know what it starts
of
with,
course.
and I'm like, Kendrick, and then that fucking hit me. Oh my God. It hit me for sure. The funk was crazy.
It really was.
The funk is crazy.
Thundercat's influence all across this album is like spectacular. Both as a vocalist, producer, and bassist, his like presence is just like always constant on here, and I love that so much.
I forgot to mention all the producers that are on here because there's like,
Oh, there's a lot of people here, man.
including one of my favorite ones, Knxwledge. Oh my God.
Whoa, hold on. What does Knxwledge do on this? That's crazy. I never knew that.
One of the fucking oh shit, what is it? It's there's this like, what's the one track that has like a really like clinky sounding beat?
Is it Momma?
It might be. It's like kind of jazzy. It has some like sort of vibes.
Or Institutionalized?
Maybe, but Knxwledge is on one of the tracks at least. Like his influence is like, and I heard it and I was like, wow, that sounds a lot like
I wonder if he
is
also
it Hood
did
Dreams?
Hood Politics.
Hood Politics.
Oh,
That's
I was
it.
about to say, I
Okay.
wonder if he's
Yeah.
the beginning of that, because the beginning of that is this beautiful little like
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. I love that. If that could be my intro to life right there, that would be
That'd be it.
yeah,
great-
just that little beginning snippet.
He's
He's
a
like,
great
call me on
producer.
Shanika's phone.
I do love this track. It really just sets the tone
Oh, very
so
much.
well. I have
Yeah.
a lot of lines like throughout all the tracks that just stood out to me. Look both ways before you cross my mind. Like one of my, it's fucking banger.
We
Fucking
should
banger
never
right
gave
there.
you niggas money. That's that
During
right,
the chorus? Yeah, that's brutal, man.
That is crazy. Because
Yeah.
like, which is a reference to a Dave Chappelle track or a Dave Chappelle skit, which was the Rick James episode where Rick James is in Charlie Murphy's house and he's stomping on his couch, which is the whole fuck yo couch nigga thing. And it's like when you go into the album and you get all like, there's so many different perspectives of like, you know, Uncle Sam being a part of it and
Yeah.
Lucy and all that. And you break it down and it's like, Uncle Sam's like, we should have never gave you niggas money. And it's crazy to think about like how further in the album he breaks down like, I got this money and I'm misusing it and da 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 da. And it's like, damn, you really should have never gave us niggas money. Cause it's like, when I get signed, I'm gonna act a fool. Me and my friends are going to the White House. I'm balling out. Like, and to think about like the representation of what that means to hip hop. Cause so many people, you know, get their money
Yep.
and then get Wesley sniped.
Yep.
And like, I'll Wesley snipe your ass before 35. Like there's people who are my age who get balling and then get their cars taken because they don't know how to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy that he's coming out with this crazy funk track basically telling you to pay your taxes.
But no, that was like kind of like bring like an issue to the forefront about, you know, like handling your money like responsibly and like the fucking systemic institutions that like screw them over because of it. Like it's showing like the perverse nature of like the music industry and how they like take advantage of like black artists and just, you know, set them up for failure essentially. It's pretty fucked up but it's like bundled up in such like a groovy fucking track.
It's so funky,
Yeah.
bro. It's so funky. You don't even know what's going on. You just like, you should never, you should never give niggas money. Like,
It's fucking brilliant, man. I love it. The Drake cameo too, little phone call there, kind of going back to Good Kid, Mad City. It's great.
I also love the George Clinton feature on here.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Him on anything is amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I think Kendrick is a very engaging MC, kind of shows his very smooth flow and inflections that emphasize certain bars, and kind of get a great taste of what's going on for the rest of the album.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best introduction tracks in hip hop of all time.
Yeah.
I can't think of one off the top of my head right now that's better, other than maybe like Dark Fantasy.
That's fair. That's a banger. But yeah, if we got nothing else, we can move right on.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Next, we got a pretty underrated track. I fucking love For Free, the Interlude.
Oh my God.
This track fucking rules.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like the jazzy and
Oh my
like
God.
30s-esque instrumental in the
Yeah, dude.
background.
The rap technique is crazy.
Oh my God, yeah.
His flow
It
is like unmatched.
It's insane.
Crazy, dude. That shit, like,
The rhyme schemes and like the puns, like it's like so rapid, like per second. It's crazy.
Have you guys ever heard of Freestyle Fellowship?
I don't think so.
Nah.
they're a rap group from California. I forget where in California, and I could be wrong on the California. I feel like they're from the Bay Area, but nix me on that if I'm wrong. But they are a group who just like they had these crazy jazz instrumentals, and they would just rap and then like scat while
Yeah.
rapping, and it was crazy. And every time I hear that song, I think of them because they have this one song called "Inner City Boundaries," where the flows are just matching what the jazz drums are doing, and the bass line is like, and it's like crazy. And then you hear For Free, and he's just like
Yeah.
over this nutty jazz, like over this,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
fucking
just like,
crazy.
not like, bro, how are you even breathing?
I know.
I was watching a video of him doing that live, and I was like, I get why you don't do that live often, because that is nuts.
It's fucking
bro.
difficult. Like I highlighted one of the like the sections. Keep me watching pornos and poverty. Apology. No watch you politic with people less fortunate like myself. Every dog has its day. Now doggy style shall help. Like, how do you come up with this and like formulate it in such like a eloquent way and deliver it like so perfectly? Like I had to take another take
And then
on that.
after that,
It's
be like,
amazing.
and that's why my dick ain't free.
Yeah.
Like that shit is crazy. And then the fucking I should have written notes, but I like free balling from my head. Where he's like, America, you bad bitch. I picked cotton and made you rich, and now my
Yep.
dick ain't free. And it's just like, oh wow, bro. Like
Shit.
they gave you this money back to the we should
Wesley's
have never
theory,
gave
yeah.
you niggas money. And now because I got this money, I don't have to listen to you.
Yep.
And like you trying to pimp me, but I'm gonna pimp you back. And it's crazy to be like, you pimped me and everybody around me for centuries. Now I'm the pimp, bitch. No,
Fuck
this
you.
dick ain't free.
Yeah.
Like
Telling how it is. Standing his ground. Love it.
that was one quote I remember in high school that like everybody was saying that shit, bro.
Yep.
You would pay, be like, yo, can I get a pen? Nah, bro, this dick ain't free. Like it would be the most random shit ever. Like, yo, can I borrow a piece of paper? This dick ain't free. Like, and then they would just you looking at me like I'm gonna make ends meet, but like, God, Kendrick, you're amazing.
That he is.
Truthfully, I think this might have been one of the first like tracks on Spotify I've ever listened to where the lyrics were just having so much
Oh, yeah,
trouble
keeping
catching
up.
up
Oh,
and
totally,
syncing up.
dude.
It was kind of amazing to see because I try to like take notes and also look at the lyrics like side by side on my
Yeah.
computer. And it was just so funny because they were so far behind. I loved it. It was
I
an
gotta watch
amazing sight
that.
to see.
I bet that's hilarious.
It
it's
was
funny.
pretty funny, not gonna lie.
I think this is like a kind of a masterclass in showing just like how great of a rapper Kendrick is.
Oh my God.
And
yeah.
producer as well, because that jazz like sample just fits the song so fucking well. It keeps up the energy perfectly, as well as they have like the intro feature with Darlene Tibbs, who's just roasting the shit out of Kendrick.
Oh my god.
Where he just like claps the fuck back. Like the alliteration, the puns, and the wordplay that just happen at such like a breakneck pace is very impressive. And I think it just is a perfect follow up to the Wesley's theory that very much like ties back into the whole thing that they were saying in the first track.
The sequencing on Kendrick's albums is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like
It's
the way that he
perfect.
puts, yeah, like I don't know. I don't understand how people hate on the Cali sound. Like I was just talking to somebody about that the other day because everybody's talking about this new Kendrick album. And I'm like, bro, he's had Cali sounds on
Yeah.
all of.
There's a song called Compton.
Yeah, it's like it's all over the Pimp and Butterfly. I don't know what you guys are talking about, and I'm just like,
It's crazy.
dude, love it. His sequencing's crazy.
And anything else?
No.
This dick ain't free.
Amen. Next up, we got one of his big ones. We got King Kunta. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album. I think it's one of his best singles. I fucking love this track.
The beat on here is probably my favorite of
Oh,
all
yeah.
of them.
He uses the flexitone, dude. That shit fucking
Jesus.
rules.
I think King Kunta is one of the greatest rap songs of all time, just because of like his flow is crazy. He's coming at everybody. That's
Yep.
and it's like in such a pristine way
Yeah.
that it's like the fact that you're using Kunta Kente as a
Like a framing device.
yeah, and being like, I'm King Kunta. Like, that's gangsta as shit in the most not gangsta way.
Yeah.
and it works out so freshly. And I'm trying to think of the exact bar that I wanted to speak about that. Are we making we don't make the comparisons between the two albums until later, right?
I mean, we can do that now too.
It's just like, that is his representation of being like, I used to be the sheep and now I'm a fucking pig. And it's like, I'm the pig. I got all this shit going. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to do with it? And I love to see like the regression of him not going back to being a sheep later in the album,
but kind of like going like to like a darker place before coming back. Yeah.
So it's like, this is the first song where I was like, oh shit, we can definitely, compare and contrast these two albums. Cause it's like, again, with the caterpillar to butterfly, that's just another two animals.
Exactly.
So it's like, I feel like this is the first track where you really get that sense of similarities between the two and being like, oh shit, like now I run the game, got the whole world talking. All these motherfuckers coming at me. I got Uncle Sam on my back. I got Lucy telling me that he can buy me more things, but all the things that I buy with Lucy, Uncle Sam's going to tax. So like, it's really cool to think about how people, especially like rappers, because they're not known always for being the most creative. Like people don't look at rappers as being these giant geniuses of music. They're just like, oh, they write lyrics and they rhyme. That's cool. But like, no, this is some deep ass contextual shit that goes over a lot of people's heads, and they want to discredit it because they don't fucking get it. And this was one of those tracks where I remember hearing it for the first time being like, damn, all right.
Yeah.
And then he comes at people with ghostwriters, and I love when people do that.
Going back to like the rappers aren't creative thing, like I think on these like most recent re-listens, I definitely saw like there was a lot more like story context in this album. Like there was like a full story. There's like characters that come up. There's a lot of like religious symbolism and like metaphors to like peel back. Even like one of these tracks called "These Walls," which we'll get to.
Oh, dude,
like that's layers upon fucking layers in those lyrics. But so like people that say that are just stupid or like ignorant. Like there's a lot of good stuff on here, and like any fucking rap artist,
they just illiterate as shit.
Exactly. But yeah, this track is phenomenal.
It really
I love
is.
it.
Another line that stood out to me: everybody's suicidal. They don't even need my help. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. I love.
I was gonna kill a couple rappers, but they did it to themselves. Yo, that shit.
I just love I feel like he owns this track, and like energy wise, from like the first track to now, there's not like a dull moment whatsoever.
Not at all.
That energy just keeps it like going.
Like throughout the whole album too,
totally.
which is something I always like worry about when I listen to some albums. It's like, oh man, is the energy gonna like falter a little bit? But no, he just fucking delivers with like every single track.
It's perfectly like paced all the way through. I think like the guitar work is fucking phenomenal on this track too. I love how it kind of like pans during the first part of the third verse when Kendrick's vocals are kind of like isolated by themselves. And then the outro is great too when like it's just pure funk with like the backup vocals going, "We want the funk" as well.
We do.
Harkening back to the 70s. It's great.
Yeah. Shout out to the Yams.
What's the Yams? Next up, we have Institutionalized. This is one that I don't really revisit too often, but I definitely like gained an appreciation for it in like this most recent re-listen.
I think Institutionalized is probably my favorite song
on this
album, honestly.
Valid.
Growing up in the hood, being a nerd ass nigga, hanging out with friends who were doing street shit and having like those friends and like growing up and seeing where they're at now, I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. Like if you really don't escape where you're from, like that shit is real.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so crazy to think about like how many people think like Kendrick. Cause I know there's hella rappers out there who have friends who like they couldn't bring up in the game. Like I can't remember I was watching a video on, I think it was Dame Dash the other day, and he has brothers. And his brother was like, you made 30 movies. How many of them am I in? And he's like, none. And he was like, why? And he's like, because you got an attitude problem. Like, I'm not bringing, and it's like crazy to sit there and think like, man, like I can't bring my friends to the BET Awards because they might shoot somebody. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
But it's like, why is he so institutionalized? Well, you're stuck inside of this cage. You're stuck inside of this city where the grass don't grow, so you can't grow no food.
Yep.
Like you don't have grocery stores. You don't have fucking shit to do, like other than gangbang and do drugs and fuck around and find out. Like that shit is just so insane. And the hook where it's just like Grandma says shit don't change until you get up and wash your ass.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's so real. That shit is so real. And on the, like a actual I don't know the words I'm looking for, but when you think about it in like a literal sense, it's like if you're not taking care of yourself, shit not gonna change.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly just being like, all right, I'm gonna allow myself to be in a rut, I'm gonna allow myself to be institutionalized, you're not gonna change. And it's just crazy to see the real life small implications of that around our own city, and then hear somebody at such a grand level be able to relate to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's very powerful.
Yeah,
and it really shows up like how the system like sets like the African Americans like to fail. Like they're stuck in like this situation, and they have these expectations like placed upon them that they can't get out of that situation. It's really fucked up.
Yeah, it's fucking. I can't remember what verse it is, but it starts and he's like, "Fuck, am I supposed to do when I'm looking at walking licks? Like, you're supposed to chill, bro. What do you mean? What are you like?"
I think it also like ties in with the album's overall themes really well, because like for a lot of these tracks, he's kind of talking about taking all that trauma and all that like anxiety that he's feeling from all this shit that's like pressing him down, and like trying to use that to create something artful and something like meaningful, not just for him, but for like a bunch of people, which like, I really love how he's so like consistent with that. Like there's not a dead track on here in that regard.
He's such a like,
he's an artist
Yeah,
by
bro.
every
Oh,
fucking
very
definition
much, yeah.
of the word. Like
It's
he
insane.
is, he's amazing.
it's just crazy to think of like him being like, oh, look, I'm going to use my music and do all this and bring all my friends and we're going to go party. And then you're like, to just like sit there and imagine yourself as him being so anxious at the fucking awards with like your fucking friends being like, bro, like chill. Like I got Denzel over here and you sitting here trying to pocket watch on people, like relax. And I'm just like, man, that's crazy to think that somebody that big has to deal with such an anxious thing, because like you are your circle. It's like you look at the 5 people that you hang around the most and you're probably like them. So it's like if you're Kendrick at this level who's out here balling, now you're on the level of being a pig and you're out here hanging out with the dogs. Are you a dog or are you a pig?
Yeah.
So it's like, boom.
But yeah, I think this one is definitely a very powerful track. I like how it has like a more kind of laid back R&B feel. I think that kind of is a very nice come down from like the energy of the first 3 tracks. Bilal on the chorus is really cool too. I like that he's giving all like the features a chance to shine. We got Snoop Dogg in here as well.
Oh my God. I love Snoop.
Yeah, it's just a good one.
Yeah.
Next up, we have possibly my favorite track on the album, These Walls. I fucking love this
Yo,
song.
that shit is so fresh.
It's so smooth. I love this track so much. Like the backup vocals that just like introduce it. Had just how like intimate it feels with the instrumentation. The Rhodes keys especially fuck so hard on this track.
Honestly, I watched a live version of it and I saw him. He was like, boom, guitar, boom, bass. Then he had the girls with the vocals come in, and then he came in with the shit. And I was like, damn, I never realized like how insane each individual instrument goes on that, because they blend so well together to make such a great beat.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting there enjoying the beat, and then you section off the instruments and you're like, oh fuck, like what, bro, what are you doing
They
out
are
here?
crucial
Like
to make sure everything.
Like that bass line is crazy, and then the Rhodes keys going nuts. The guitar chords are gorgeous as hell, and then the story
Oh my god,
is
yeah.
insane. Like the ending verse where he's like, I'm fucking a bitch and her ex-boyfriend killed my homie,
friend,
and like all
so
this
it's revenge.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that shit was crazy. And like you don't realize how crazy it is. Like the beginning, you're like, oh, this some freaky stuff I can groove to. This is like listening to the Isley Brothers in the 70s. Like this is a groove, it's a jam, it's a good song. And then at the end, boom,
He
some
peeled back those
gangsta
layers,
shit. Yeah,
dude.
bro.
Exactly.
That shit was crazy. It's like an onion. That song is a delicious onion that don't make you cry.
And it still ties back into like the misusing like your influence. Like the poem was introduced in like King Kunta, and it comes back here, and it like has like an overall concept because he's using his influence as a celebrity to get revenge for his friend. Essentially, like he doesn't like really care about this girl. He's just doing it to for like self gratification. It's very interesting.
That shit is wild, bro.
Yeah.
That is some petty shit, and that I feel like that was not actually, but that's the introduction of his pettiness.
Oh, very much so. One of the pettiest moments on the album.
Motherfucker should have known then not to mess with him when you realize that he was fucking your bitch.
Exactly. But I just love the sound of this track. It's so fucking smooth, so intimate. and like the overall just concept and theme. Also, Thundercat's inclusion on here, it's very minimal, but my God, does it like make that chorus? Just like the subtle like upbeat accented O's
Yeah.
on the chorus. It's so fucking nice.
I didn't look at any of the features before I like started doing this. So when I listened to this and went, "Oh, this is Thundercat as fuck," and I looked over,
Right.
I looked over and I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense."
For the longest time, I thought that Prince sung that little one section.
It did sound like
Right.
Prince.
I refuse to ever look it up to be wrong about it because I'm just like,
That's your headcanon.
Yeah, I'm like, Prince worked with Kendrick. I got my 2 phase. I'm good, bro. So I just never ever looked into it to ever find out if it was wrong. I'm like, I'm gonna let my head believe it.
Yep. As far as we're concerned, that's Prince.
Because it sounds like him, bro.
It really does.
He's like, the gold lives inside of you. Like,
Dearly
that sounds-
beloved.
I'm trying to get in those walls.
Yeah, this track's fucking fantastic. We got nothing else. We move right on.
Moving on.
Next up, we have You, probably the most vulnerable and like very much like the most intense track on this album. You basically see like Kendrick's psyche just kind of snap at this point as he has like this moment of like self-hatred as he just kind of goes off on himself and gets in like a bender almost.
Yeah,
Like how
loving-
unhappy he is.
Loving yourself is complicated.
It is. That it is.
Yeah.
It's tough, and it's a very apt hook to kind of like really push that theme home, like bring it on home, just how like hard it is for like self-care. And like the music also reflects that, how it goes from like this kind of like wonky jazz beat to this super like disjointed like sloppy melody as like Kendrick just has this breakdown with like the studio imagery of like bottles clanking. It's a very powerful track.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
the onomatopoeias on the album are crazy.
Mhm.
Like the sound effects that he decides to
Yeah.
use and the slurring of his words and the gargling of the like it's
Yeah.
that's such a lost art in music. Like people
The performance,
like
yeah.
people nowadays are like, oh, my song has to be a song. My song has to be this. Like I can't have like yawning in the back. Like the days of ad libs are coming back now with people like Tyler, and I love it. But it's like it's such a lost art in music to be able to draw from the rawness of what can be a voice. Like you don't have to just sing. You
Yeah.
don't have to just rap. You can
paint a picture with other things.
exactly.
Yeah,
It
And
adds
this
color.
is, and this is such a gorgeous example of that.
definitely. I thought you had something. My fault.
I feel like y'all keep saying the exact same things that like I'm trying to say, and I agree. So I don't think there's anything else to add. This is a very, very vulnerable track.
Yeah.
Like I verbatim wrote in my notes, as you said.
Well, there we go. But next up, we have the biggest track of this album, I would say. We got All Right, one of his biggest tracks of all time. The Big Kahuna, for very good reason.
I think I remember hearing this in a commercial.
Really?
Yeah. I
That's
forget for
amazing.
what,
Good.
but like I want to. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but I swear to God, I heard this in like a
It
commercial.
was a
for
Carl's Jr. ad.
I swear to God, it was like a Cheerios commercial or something.
That's fucking wild.
And I remember thinking, like, wait a sec, where have I heard this before? I mean, it's a very popular song,
Yeah.
but like, I
in
was-
the context of that song with
it's like,
Cheerios is kind of crazy.
We're gonna be all right. No, I'm very fond of this track. I love the juxtaposition.
Oh yeah, man. It's
Like-
like very uplifting, even though like this tone is like very serious. And also, I had no idea Pharrell was the one who sang the chorus until now. That's
I
really
didn't know
cool.
that either.
Yeah,
That's fucking wild. I love that nigga for real. He does great things.
that he does.
I remember being like 18 when this album came out, and I remember sitting with my dad one day, and I think All Right might have been one of the singles. So I think it came out before, but I could be wrong. I just remember hearing All Right, and my dad being in the car. My dad's a police officer, if y'all didn't know that. Well, he's retired now. And him and I were having a conversation about the song because my dad likes the song Fuck the Police. But my
Yeah.
dad also is like, oh, it's a stupid song, like, but you gonna sit there and rap it. That's because he was, back then he was a younger person when that song came out. So now he's an old nigga. And I'm like, All Right's kind of like our version of Fuck the Police. It's just a lot nicer
Yeah.
than Fuck the Police. Like it
Less
is a
blunt.
lot nicer than Fuck the Police. He's like, well, he says that he hates Popo and he wants that we want to kill him dead in the street for a show, and maybe we do. And I'm like, damn, Dad, that's crazy. Like, bro, you a cop. And you saying this to your black son, and you a black man, and you don't realize
see anything.
Yeah, like you don't get what, like, is he wrong now? And that was just the day that I realized, like, damn, like old heads really do have a different, like
Yeah.
people's viewpoints really change in life. Because like I remember being younger than that and playing Grand Theft Auto and my dad laughing along with me killing the cops and being like, oh, we're playing Fuck the Police while I'm sitting there running 5 stars, blowing shit
Yeah.
up. And then it's like just a couple years later, he's like, man, people talking shit on the police. Like, I don't fuck with that. And like, it's crazy to see the divide that that song created just within not only like America, but within the black community of people being like, oh, well, I don't really give a shit that all this shit's going on. Like, I'm away from it. And that was definitely, from what I remember, a time where it's like nobody was making songs like that around then.
I don't think so.
Back
no.
in the 80s and 90s, everybody was coming out with shit. But when Katrina happened, the biggest song on the radio was probably Lollipop by Lil Wayne. Like, that's New Orleans is your city, and you out here talking about getting your dick sucked. And Kendrick's the first one to come out with something that
prolific,
big, in a very long time. So it was just crazy to see the shift in culture, because it's like there's people at protests chanting a rap song.
Yeah, exactly. It was like an anthem.
Yeah,
it's
like,
crazy.
That was crazy. And then in 2020, when everything was going on, people were chanting that same song like 8 years after the album came out. It's crazy. It's wild to think of. But it's I forget what I was saying, but the divide that song created was crazy. The fact that we can use a rap song as a protest song again is amazing. And we need more songs like that. Like,
exactly.
That's what hip hop
brings people together.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Hip hop started as an acronym that stood for Higher Infinite Power Healing Our People. And that's what songs like All Right represent. And we need that shit back.
Exactly. All Right is a banger through and through. As Tim said, very much an anthem. Brought a lot of people together. Basically, just letting people know it's going to be all right. We just got to stick together. I think it's fantastic.
It is. I also really just like the very saxophone-driven beat on this.
Yeah. But next up, we have another interlude we have For Sale. I also really like this one.
For real.
Great.
This one rules. I like how just like fluttering and twinkling like the guitars and keys are on this track.
It's like dreamy soundscape kind of deal.
Very Thundercat, which I dig.
It's also a great other parallel between Animals and To Pimp a Butterfly, because it's like it's Lucy being like, hey, I can get you all this
exactly
stuff.
The temptation.
Like, I'm bringing you up a level. Like, you don't gotta be a dog no more. We can get that house. You want that car? We can get that car.
Just sign this little contract.
I'm gonna get you. Like, oh god, that shit is great. It's just another reflection of his genius in representation of like his ability to be able to change his inflections and do those voices and have fun with the track. Like Kendrick doesn't sound like Kendrick on every single thing.
No.
And it's amazing because it's like you'll have these rappers who sound the same on every single track, but then you have people like Kendrick and Tyler and Kanye who they're gonna sit there and change their voices and be like, oh, I'm gonna rap like this, then I'm gonna rap like this, I'm gonna rap like it's great. I love it.
It always like fits the narrative. It like fits like what it's supposed to be. It's perfect.
You can tell he'd be in the gym working on his breathing techniques.
Working out the diaphragm, you know?
When you see those videos of Kendrick doing push-ups, he's rapping while he's doing push-ups. You just don't see his mouth movement.
That's fucking insane.
I believe it.
But now, like you said, it's very like performative here, where like he's also kind of slurring his words here as he like go with the Lushi, as he's kind of just like kind of
Ricardo.
It's just kind of like working against like going to this temptation to kind of like keep himself like humble, to not like kind of go further away, to misuse his influence even more. And it's backed by like these really like tempting instrumentals as well that kind of adds on to it, like very lush, very ethereal, like, oh, like you can trust this guy, he'll get you what you want.
Yeah, smooth talking motherfucker.
Exactly.
And then you get kicked out of Eden.
Thematically, I really love how because I forget what other tracks had like the spoken word thing at the end, but I love how it keeps like reoccurring.
Yeah, and adding on to it, the poem.
So like thematically, it keeps fulfilling itself as the tracks go on. It's a really, really nice touch.
The whole motif of like the misusing your influence poem is like very powerful, especially like the moment it has at the very end of this album.
Yeah, when the building sequencing.
Exactly.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And the music cuts out and it's just him talking, and it's like he like creates this almost like uncomfortable intimate moment. Like,
oh yeah, he's like talking to you
every few tracks, and it's just like you can't get away from it, but it's just like he can't get away from it. A lot of people can't get away from this reality.
Yeah.
Like it's so real. I love it.
Yeah.
The reality is real.
One might say.
Next up, we have Momma, which is a direct follow-up to this track, which is now Kendrick denying the temptation of Lucy and kind of going back to his roots, specifically Africa, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Back to the motherland.
Yep. And this one is very well done. I believe this might be the track you're talking about with the clinking instrumental.
Yeah, like the knowledge-esque like focused beat.
I think so. But like, yeah, the Rhodes piano are back here, and it makes this track feel very light and airy.
Yeah.
And I like how staccato Kendrick's delivery is on here. It's very rigid, how he kind of like accents every other phrase on the bar. And like you said, Tim, I do really like how Kendrick kind of changes his approach to rapping. He uses different voice styles, he uses different flow styles. Like every track is different, and it always feels unique, but always fits the tone very well.
This one felt like kind of a gut punch for me to listen to, like due to the themes of the song.
Yeah.
Because it really just, you can kind of hear almost like the pain in his voice as he's sort of like talk about wanting to go back and stuff. And it's just like, God damn. Like it really hit, this one really hit me hard.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that at like track 9, you know what I mean? After all we'd been through like prior.
Yeah.
The I Know Everything verse or section of the song hit crazily on my most recent listen as an adult, because I remember being younger and having that mindset of like, oh, I know everything. Like I've been through it. Like I'm 25. I know what I'm talking about. And like here I am only 28 acting like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. And it's like that the crazy realization of like, all I know is that I know nothing. And that's basically what this nigga is saying. And it's genius in the most retrospective way of being like, once you fully get that perspective, you'll realize that you really don't know. And it's just another great, fantastic way of Kenny doing his thing.
Exactly.
I hate this man for being so great. I'm like,
why can't he be me?
I'm trying to like find things to like talk shit about, and it's not working right now.
It's really hard on this
It's
fucking
impossible,
album.
this record, honestly. He's just that good.
Yeah. This track is very well done. Very, very intimate. A lot of self-reflection. And yeah, I think it's just really well done. Next, we have Hood Politics. This is one of his bigger songs from this album. Not really the biggest fan of this one, at least in terms of like the overall hook. I never really dug it, but I think like the overall like theme and concept is great too, as with the rest of this album.
Another line that stood out to me here. Critics want to mention that they miss when hip hop was rapping. Motherfucker, if you did, then Killer Mike would be platinum.
Yeah,
Shout out
dude.
to my man
God
finally getting
damn.
a fucking Grammy, bro. I'm a huge Run the Jewels fan. And I found Killer Mike through Run the Jewels and then was like, oh shit, bro. He has this song called Reagan. And I was like, oh my God, there's motherfuckers who rap about this type of shit. That shit was crazy. So when I re-listened to this and heard Kendrick say that, I was like, oh, I love rap appreciation. That's so sweet of you, Kendrick. But I'm on the complete
The opposite side of me.
like
Yeah.
I've been A1 since day one. You niggas boo-boo. like, I love that shit, bro. You niggas boo-boo. Your baby moms, boo-boo. Your friends, boo-boo. The food you be eating, boo-boo. The food your girlfriend cooked, boo-boo. Like, I'm probably going to start saying that for the next week now.
There you
You're
go.
gonna see me in practice next week or something. I'm going to mess something up. I'm like,
That was
shit,
boo-boo.
Stim for the next month, you know?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad song. I just think like from a constructual like standpoint, I just don't really find it super engaging. But like the theme of like the hood politics itself and like how he uses like a higher pitch to represent like a younger version of himself too, kind of reflecting on his experience is really well done. It's definitely not a skip either. It's just like not really my thing.
So when I was saying earlier about like the Knxwledge thing, Knxwledge has an album called Hood Dreams, like HUD Dreams. I think I didn't clarify.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's not this track that I think he had the feature on. I think it was the
Momma. Okay.
one. I realized the error of my ways of not clarifying earlier, so that's why.
Regardless, the fucking intro to this track is so
yeah.
It
delicious.
hits. It hits.
Call me on Shanika phone.
Next up, we have How Much a Dollar Cost.
That shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah. Kendrick
That
C's
is-
got on this track.
That is storytelling at its finest.
Yeah.
And the metaphor of using a homeless man as God is crazy because it's like, how many people do you run into
Exactly.
in a month that you see that somebody might ask you for $1? You walk down the street in Philly and at least 3 people gonna ask you for $1. And if you treated each person as if that was the son of God and you're like, shit, I gotta give Jesus $3 today, like that is wild. Like, and that shit changed how I viewed a lot of shit when I was younger.
Yeah.
And even use that today to where it's like, not all the time, but most of the time, if I have at least $5 and somebody asks me for shit, I'm giving it to them because I am scared. That is Jesus right there. I don't even believe in God, and that's Jesus. Like,
No, it's a very cautionary tale. It's all about like karma and stuff and not being like too selfish because you never know like what might happen.
yeah.
Yeah. And the way he just tells the story is really fucking well done. I also said, my bad. I was looking at notes from the last track. My fault.
You lied to us.
I did lie. I fell into the temptations.
Damn it, Lucy.
I really like the choruses on this one, like how ethereal they are, and like the autotune kind of like ballad style is really cool. It's kind of a juxtaposition from the disjointed shuffle of the main instrumental during the verses. It's a really cool kind of back and forth, kind of showing the divine nature of it.
Is Ronald Isley on this song?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up right now because I want to know who sings the ending of that song.
Do you want to include the research about Prince as well?
No, he's
in
never.
this, or-
That
No,
goes
we're
right
not
in the head.
ruining
we could add to this headcanon really, really quick. You know?
No, that stays on here.
Yes.
It is?
Yeah.
Very cool.
He's also they use that lady as a sample for I.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
That's very cool.
That's
Fuck yeah.
crazy.
Glad he's got his influence on here. Definitely adds a lot to it.
All right, we're ruining the headcanon.
Oh, no.
Tim, you don't have to.
It's okay. We can just fake it in the description.
Exactly. We can lie to people on the internet.
Damn. It is not him.
It was actually Prince and David Bowie together.
They were in the studio together for To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh, were they?
But yes, but what they did not appear on the album, and that is not Prince's voice.
That's good enough for me. The
At
fact
least they
that
were together.
In that frame of time, the fact that they were around each other, it's like, all right.
True. That's something. That's a win.
Yeah.
And he also almost sang the hook on Complexion.
Oh, damn.
damn.
That would have
So
been
he
fucking
would have been
nice.
on like 3 different songs.
That could be a great segue into the next track,
Exactly.
honestly.
Yeah, the next track is Complexion of Zulu Love. This one's really fucking cool.
Yeah, that'd have been crazy if Prince was on that.
All right, moving on. Nah, I love this track. I
No,
love
me
how
too.
smooth it is and like the overall sentiment it's like trying to share.
Rhapsody is one of my favorite female vocalists, and this was how I discovered her back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
So hearing it over and being like, I see you, girl. Minus the James Bond bar, this rap really looked good. Like, 'cause we still ain't got our black James Bond, but everything else aged really well. Everything else aged great. And she's like, to listen to her then and to listen to her now is so amazing. So shout out to Kendrick for putting her on that.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, this is just another fantastic track that, like, I feel like people took a little too serious back then and being like, oh, it's social commentary, da, da, da. Like, nah, this was just Kendrick being Kendrick. Like, I don't think this was him pushing for anything specific. I don't think this was like an all right type of song. Like, I think this was just him
People are
trying.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
no
was
matter
him-
complexion.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
this was, in my mind, more so him falling back in love with himself after Mama and then leading into
Yeah.
I don't think I is the next song, but leading
Nah.
into I being
to
like
get there.
like to get into that fashion of coming back down from being the pig, being like not a sheep, but you know what I mean? And being like, I love
better.
myself, I love my
Exactly.
complexion. And like I feel like back then, at least from what I remember, a lot of people kind of took that song and were like, ugh, like, but they were also racist. Now that I'm thinking about it. So like I was also around a lot of white people because of school. So now that I think about it, just don't listen to what I said. Yeah.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, wow. In retrospect, they were just racist. Yeah, Complexion is a great song. Thank you, Kendrick, for putting Rhapsody on it.
Yeah. I love how like gentle the song feels though. It's very much like it's a very intimate track, very laid back. I love how he's again reworking his like delivery and like his vocal styling to fit that vibe. It's like super smooth, almost like a Thundercat track, like off Drunk. This like very much reminded me of something like on the latter half of that album. But like it's very well done, a great sentiment, and it's like not in your face about it. It's just like you said, it's just Kendrick being Kendrick.
And it's another great example of him coming up with hilarious one-liners for people to say.
That's true.
Sneak dissing! Like, that was great. Like, and I, like, Kendrick has so many things like mustard, or like all of those things that you can just come up and just randomly.
Kendrick's fucking
like,
funny.
Yeah, like those random one-liners like sneak dissing. That shit is funny as hell. That shit is funny as hell. When people used to roast each other back in school and they'd be like, oh, he sneak dissing. Like, shout out to Kendrick for that.
True.
You guys kind of keep summing up my points.
Sorry, Matt.
I do like this track a lot, though. I think my favorite thing about this track is definitely like the features. Rhapsody, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I love the part when they like call her in. It's like so cool. Then the piano, like in the beat itself, the piano with like the phaser on it. It's a nice touch.
It's disgusting.
I love this. I love how like I love the jazz influence that's just all across this album.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's amazing.
It's definitely like one of the nice little characteristics that sets it apart from like a lot of other things you'd be listening to at the time.
I will never understand how people call this album boring.
Dude, it's fucking crazy.
People call this album boring?
Oh yeah, that was a whole entire part of the Drake Kendrick beef. Is like all of these Drake fans were like, this album boring as shit. You can't listen to it. Nobody wants to listen to jazz.
Drake raps about the same shit all the time.
And then
that shit is boring.
J. Cole on one of his diss tracks was like, oh, your classics put me to sleep, talking about To Pimp a Butterfly.
That's
and
crazy.
everybody was like, bro, yeah, like nobody wants to listen to that jazzy shit. And I'm like, you don't have
speak
the
for
ear-
me,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
That's
bro.
insane.
This is
Yeah.
one of my favorite albums of all time.
It's incredible.
The more
really
jazzy
is.
an
Yeah.
album is, the more
I'm sorry.
like
Go
it.
listen to fucking Certified Lover Boy.
Yeah,
Honestly,
right,
never
bro.
mind. Go fuck yourself.
Like, what about A Tribe Called Quest? Like, they're one of the
Yeah,
best
dude.
groups of all
Yeah.
time. Jazz rap is some of the best thing I've ever heard. So it's
Yeah.
like, what in the fuck are you
Are you
talking
talking
about?
exactly?
They never understood Bonita Applebum, bro. That's what it was. They didn't get the low end theory.
Nope.
No.
They did not. Anyway, next track is The Black or the Berry.
We got like so heated there.
Bro,
Honestly,
I mean,
rightfully so.
which is perfect
It's
because this is one of the most heated tracks on the album.
Which
true.
is fucking great representation.
Exactly.
Again, of Kendrick being like, hey, I misused my powers. Don't fucking listen to me. Like, people take celebrities too,
Oh, yeah, dude.
too serious, and they take what they say way too serious. And I feel like this is a great example of him being like, hey, I'm just a rapper, bro.
Yeah.
Y'all don't gotta listen to me. I'm doing this because this is my form. This is my art. This is how I express myself. Don't fucking listen to me. Like, do not do as I say or as I do. Like, this man said, I am the biggest hypocrite of 2015. And then at the end, literally was like, gang banging, gonna make me kill a nigga darker than me. What's up? Boom. Literally just told you at the beginning and the end not to listen to him. And what do people do? Still fucking listen
Yeah.
to celebrities. Crazy as shit. And there's still people out here being like, Kendrick thinks he's a savior. Nah, y'all just don't listen.
Very much
Literally,
so.
though.
Yeah. I like the just overall tone of this track. Like the beat almost sounds like a gorilla song, just like with like the type of keys that are being used and just like the overall like beat that's like kind of in the background. So it's like, sounds very Demon Days, which I like a lot.
I found that King Kunta honestly had
That
more of
one
a
too.
Gorillaz like vibe than this one, but I can definitely see what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I think like the most like standout moment on here is Assassin during the chorus. It's just such like a departure from like what we've been hearing on the album, but it also is like such a part of like Black culture that I'm glad it's included on here.
It reminded me of Yeezus a
Yeah.
lot. I don't know. Did you ever listen to Yeezus?
Not in full.
That shit, it reminded me a lot of
I
like
try-
the end of Yeezus. The man got some this weird shit.
Yeah.
And Kendrick figured out how to take the weird shit and make it less.
More accessible.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's really a shame because like as AJ and I have definitely talked about numerous times on this podcast, Kanye right now is a territory in music where you just have to tread carefully because like I love a lot of the stuff that I've listened to by him, but then it's just like, but everything else around it though, just
a piece of shit.
Damn,
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. And if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would say that Kanye's a fucking idiot, I would have been like, nah, shut the fuck up.
He's a
bro.
genius.
Yeah, I'd have been like, he's a fucking genius, man. Then he dropped College Dropout and St. Pablo. Like, what the fuck you talking about?
And the problem is I got into him too late around the
Yeah.
time when like
All of it was like stacking up.
No,
Yeah.
for real. And it's just like, God fucking damn it. I really missed the mark on that one.
Yeah.
I miss when it was cool to like Kanye.
I miss the old Kanye.
Yo, bro, I have older sisters, so I was into Kanye when College Dropout came out.
Yeah.
So when the George Bush doesn't care about black people shit happened, I was like maybe 10, and I was like, huh, wow, okay.
And then Mike Myers just being like, okay.
And then it goes over to I think
Yeah.
Tracy Morgan, and Tracy's like, oh shit, bro.
I would have killed to have been in the studio when that happened. That probably would have been one of the
Watching
funniest
that-
days to intern of all time at that news station.
That shit was crazy.
But yeah, it was a really good track. I think one line that stands out to me that kind of goes back to the hypocrisy whole angle of this track is like, I'm black as the heart of a fucking Aryan. Like that line hits hard.
It's
God damn.
insane.
Because you ask an Aryan, their heart's not black.
Exactly. They're bitches. I just like the jazz outro of the song too. I think it fucking rules. With the vocals in the background as well. But it moves on to another one of my favorites. It's either this or These Walls is my favorite. You Ain't Gotta Lie, Momma said.
Oh, God.
Fucking adore this track.
Dude, I love the shit out of that track as a black nerd
Mm-hmm.
because, again, tracing back to like when I was growing up and everything, like living in the hood and having friends who like, would do that shit,
Yeah.
like they would like, you feel the pressure to try to fit in. You feel the pressure to go and do those shit to impress your friends. And then you do it and they're like, nigga, come on, you too smart for this shit. What are you fucking doing? Like, you're a little ass nerd who plays guitar. Why are you trying to like, so hearing that and being able to relate and being able to be like, damn, I remember those days. Like, I remember trying to fit in with my friends because it's like, I would go home to Chester and everything's all hood there. And then I go to school and I go to a private school. So it's like, they know that I'm a fucking nerd. They know that I'm not out here doing shit. Like,
you ain't got to try so hard.
Yeah, bro. You ain't got, and you really don't have to try so hard.
Exactly.
And it was like the day I remember being like 14, finally realizing like, I don't have to try. Like, I can have friends and actually be me.
Yeah.
And like, that was years before Kendrick dropped this track. But hearing it and then going back into that little mindset being like, damn, that's crazy. Cause like, it made me think about like people that I knew who were in that mindset, who hung out with me. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, I'm not even hard. So why are you trying to impress me? Because I'm not out here doing none of this shit, bro. I'm sitting at home playing guitar, reading comics, my dog. Like, it's just crazy to like, it's another song that I feel is completely underrated. It's a very important song for people to listen to and take advice from, but not like...
Super literally.
Not in the terms of like, oh, go listen to a celebrity, but like, just
like take this message to heart.
Yeah. Like, you don't gotta lie. You can
just be yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, more people need messages like that because some people really don't want to be themselves, and that's crazy to me.
Exactly. I mean, I guess it is like kind of hard going back to, I guess, like you kind of like the self-love whole thing, and like you want to impress people, but like it's a good message. It's like, you don't lie. Just like be yourself, find people who will accept you for who you are, and don't go to the Laugh Factory and Michael Richards is performing.
Oh, Kramer. God damn. Jesus fucking Christ.
That line's really funny. I like that one
a lot. Oh my God. He wrote a book. He just came out with, he's trying to make a comeback. And he wrote like a whole ass book and has been appearing on like talk shows being like, listen, the reason why I said it, it's like I was playing a character, and when you're in the moment, you just kind of have to. And I was like,
The fact that he's defending this with the reason I said it is kind of crazy.
It's fucking insane. I think he has a book out, or like because this was like a couple months ago.
If I did it.
Yeah. If I did it. Yeah.
If the glove did fit.
God damn. Did Kramer wear gloves? I'm trying to remember. I don't think so.
I think they parodied the OJ trial on Seinfeld.
That doesn't surprise me
That's
at all.
insane.
I think they did. Because instead of a glove, it was a bra. Because like, yeah.
That is gold.
That's crazy.
That's fucking
To be
gold.
fair,
I'm going home
Shrek
watching
also
that.
did it. I think in Shrek 2.
With the Bronco chase.
White Broncos on the amazing.
Much like Kendrick, the OJ has a lot of places it can fit into.
It's almost like what do I keep referencing all the time? That like this thing in media that just keeps getting referenced. Is it Akira?
Oh yes, yeah,
It's
the
like
Akira
real
slide. Yeah, the OJ trials.
Low
the
key in the
Akira slide.
90s, like to reference that at least once, everybody was trying to get on that bandwagon.
It's a fair point.
Man.
It was a hot topic, but I fucking love the song a lot.
It is great.
Just the overall, just like the intimate nature of it, just like how jazzy, almost like soulful it feels, and just like how direct Kendrick is, but also like understanding in a way, just in terms of like his overall tone, is like really nice to hear. I love this track a lot. Now move on to the penultimate track. I believe the lead single from this album. We have "I," and this is the perfect culmination of everything this album has been leading up to. Very much Kendrick's journey of self-discovery coming to an end as he learns to love himself. And I think I like this version a lot more than the single version.
The caterpillar has become the butterfly.
Exactly. Very much so.
On the beat, like I really love the clean tone guitar.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's the Isley Brothers sample.
Yeah, dude.
My Isley's, people sleep on the Isley Brothers as a musical group. And if you go back and actually listen to their shit, all part 1, 2, and 3 of all of their songs,
Yeah, exactly.
like they are killer. They're so good. I got AV playing a couple Isley Brothers songs, and then I just learned a couple as a guitarist to like,
Yeah, just have.
yeah. And I was like, oh wow, these chords are kind of fun. And
Yeah.
I was like they're funky, they're groovy, and it's just another genius. Like I don't know who produced that track, but whoever flipped that sample was Chef's kiss.
The
That shit
guitar
was
work,
great. Yeah.
it just fits so well.
Yeah, I don't know if they re-recorded it or what they did for it, but it's that shit like a Krabby Patty, bro.
Makes this track soar.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
gorgeous. It's beautiful.
I also love the backup vocals too.
Yeah.
I love myself. It's hammering that home. It's great.
This genuinely might be one of the best penultimate tracks that we've ever reviewed on this podcast.
I would agree.
Like genuinely, I don't think I've ever gotten this much enjoyment, like pacing wise, music wise, thematically.
Oh yeah.
Like it just hits all the right spots. Genuinely.
You
It's
know
a
a
very
song's
rewarding.
good. Ooh, sorry.
No, you're good.
You know a song's good when it's impossible to not dance to it.
Oh yeah.
And this comes on, you like
You gotta groove.
You gotta hit the 2-step.
I also love like the studio imagery around this track too. How it's like Kendrick is at a live show performing. Like that's
Yeah.
such a cool framing device.
Yeah.
bringing the greatest rapper alive.
And then he like directly speaks to his audience, which both acts as like talking to the listener, to the crowd in the song. And it's just really cool. A very awesome like framing device that kind of brings this whole theme together.
Art.
Very much so. And we close off this album with Mortal Man, a very powerful, very impactful, and a closer that you kind of remember after the album's over. It kind of starts off half and half with like a normal song before it breaks into an interview with Tupac, which was pre-recorded, and Kendrick kind of like talks like acts as if he's talking with Tupac based off that interview. It's very powerful.
It's a great closer, honestly.
It's like in retrospect, it's crazy to think about because nowadays people are using AI to bring and recreate people on tracks like Drake just did with Snoop Dogg on his track. And didn't he also do Tupac?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know.
I don't remember. But I didn't listen to all the Drake disses because I don't listen to Drake music. But it's crazy to think about like the ways that you can use it, right?
Yeah.
So Kendrick sat down and had a conversation with one of his biggest influences on a track in a genius fashion and made it fit the story and the end of the story perfectly.
Yeah.
And to sit there and think about like the creative uses of him combining with however they did that, because I don't think AI was that big 10 years ago.
No.
So it's like however he decided to do that is crazy. Like it shows that you can be creative without AI. Like it shows that you can be creative and use those forms of the past in a respectable, cool fashion.
And make it
not
something
have
new.
Yeah, and not
Yeah.
make it fucking tacky.
Exactly.
So it's like I appreciate when artists do cool shit like that. I love songs that aren't songs. Like I guess I'm weird in that terms of like love listening to songs that become something else where it's like
It doesn't have to just like stick to that norm. It can be so much more as an art form.
have you ever heard of Jill Scott Heron?
Yes. We talked about him for Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Did we actually?
Yeah, he was sampled on, I believe, like one of the last 2 tracks on that album. I think.
I can't remember which one, but he sampled on a Kanye album, and he also has he sampled on 2 Kanye albums. He's on
Twisted Fantasy, right?
Twisted Fantasy and what's after Late Registration, My Way Home, and he has these crazy jazz samples and then does poetry over them, and it's fucking it's a song, but people don't consider it a song because he's doing poetry. Like, no, that's a fucking song, bro.
Exactly.
And it's cool as shit. And when people blend shit over songs that's not singing and not rapping, I fucking love it. I live for it.
Exactly.
I'm like, let's see how fucking crazy we can get over
I know.
this.
Like,
so it's like
the concept of the song you wouldn't expect to like work because like based off the half and half, like he's kind of like having his cake and eating it too here because he has like basically like the structured song before going to like almost like a skit with like the whole interview bit, but the interview bit is like crucial to the theme of this album
and the theme of the song. Like if I feel like if it didn't have that ending, it wouldn't be as impactful.
very much. Yeah, because we see the poem come full circle. We see like it in full, and we know why it's written because he's saying it to Tupac to get his like opinions on it, which is like really cool. And then like we get like Tupac and Kendrick going back and forth based off like their philosophy, like their ideals about like society, like how that has to change. It's like really, really powerful. Really, really good closer.
And then the ending where he's like, "What do you think about that?" And he just like
Doesn't
not
answer.
responding.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn. Shit, man.
Perfect like little gut punch at the end. It's like it's now in Kendrick's hands. But if we got nothing else, we can move on to our final thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, so Tim, what'd you think of
This is
Pimp
one of the
Butterfly?
greatest fucking albums of all time.
Agreed.
Yes.
As a hip hop fan of growing up in the East Coast, I am a huge fan of West Coast rappers. So I don't understand like
The hate, the beef.
yeah, because I think that musically their beats are fucking insane. It's funky as hell, and I live for the funk. I die for the funk. We want the funk, and by we,
By the
I
time
mean
you hear the next pop, the funk shall be within you.
yeah. But so to me, as a rapper, this is a lyrical exercise. Like if you want to practice rapping, go practice for free. Sit in the mirror and try to perfect for free, and then I will believe that you can rap. Like that is like, and it's you got vocal gymnastics, you got lyrical gymnastics, and the combination of two is my favorite thing in the world. And to put it over the funk is an even greater thing. So to me, this is like top 5 of greatest rap albums of all time across the board. The music's perfect. The lyricism is crazy. He's actually got meaning in the entire story of like how many rap concept albums you get other than the concept being bitches and money. Not a lot. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Good old Playboy Cardi. You know?
So it's one of my favorites, and I don't understand why it's not considered one of the greatest. If it's not, like, you crazy. If you think this is hard listening, then you should definitely expand your palate.
Yeah, very much so.
Grow the fuck up.
Yes. If you had to give it like a rating, like either a letter or a number or both, what would you give it?
I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 and an XYZ.
Fair enough.
etc. Yeah.
Because it's the end all be all. It's the alpha and omega. That shit is fucking. If I could go back in time and write any fucking album, this is definitely in my top 5 of albums that I wish I could have written.
I can see that. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I understand why this album is like widely received as one of the greatest hip hop albums. Honestly, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It's fabulous. I mean, the pacing is incredible. Musically, it hits every single track. And for 16 tracks to hold my attention, especially because like my threshold of listening, like in terms of like album length, is like 40-ish minutes. The fact that it kept me engaged for like an hour, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, man.
It's not nothing, you know? I think his flow on every single track is just like perfect, especially on the first interlude. Like that was amazing. Rating wise, gosh, that's really tough actually. I would definitely give this like a low A.
Okay.
Probably. And somewhere probably in the same range, like 8-ish, maybe like 8.5.
Fair enough.
It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I fucking love this album. Much like you, Tim, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. This was the album that got me into rap. I started with MF Doom, and then like Kendrick kind of like solidified. It's like I want to explore this.
Great introduction. That's why I fuck with you so heavy. It makes a lot of sense.
He is great.
What can I say? I'm a man of the people. But can you believe that this album was beaten for Album of the Year by 1989 by Taylor Swift?
I'm angry.
Wasn't it also
Good Kid, Mad City got screwed over by Macklemore?
Okay, that's what I was gonna be like. Wait,
damn.
was
Yeah.
that the one? Because, oh god, I remember that. Fucking 1989.
I know,
That's
of all
crazy.
fucking albums.
That feels
That's
wrong.
crazy.
Yeah, for how culturally important this album is, that just does not sit right.
feels-
Taylor Swift is culturally important to white people.
And that's why they chose it. Yeah, exactly.
That's who runs the Grammy.
Oh, because they're racist.
Oh shit, the Grammys are racist. God damn. 2 of our guests are probably rolling over right now.
They're seething.
Yeah, no, I mean that's that actually low-key kind of makes me angry.
It's absurd, man.
A little it's very absurd. Not a little bit.
That's wild. I can't even think of any songs off of 1989 that. Hold on.
They could even rival
we're
like
doing
one
this.
track on this album.
Let's see.
Not saying she didn't put any effort in, but like the amount of effort
In comparison, yeah.
compared to Kendrick is like insane.
Exactly.
To think that it matches up, let alone beats it.
No, yeah.
Like-
very much so. But this is very much like a decade and generation like defining album, and it uses every minute of its runtime to tell a story, bring people together while also exposing the hypocrisy of American institutions and the music industry. I think Kendrick is one of, if not the greatest rappers of all time, and I think he proves it on this fucking album. I love how he reinvents himself with like every track, changing his vocal styling, his flow style, his delivery, his voice. Each track is like super unique, both from a musical and from a lyrical vocal standpoint, and it makes it so engaging, and you just kind of like grasp like everything he's trying to say like from the get go. The use of jazz and funk as his main like musical influences is genius, as it harkens back to like black culture and just like how important that was to go back to your roots. The use of horns and strings adds such a nice dynamic and energy to this track, basically emphasizing certain emotional beats or making them hit even harder. Personal like interest for me is just Thundercat's contributions, as I'm a huge fucking Thundercat fan. So having his influence all over this album just really boosts it for me as well. Just like every contribution he adds to it just bolsters the track so much more, whether it's his bass lines or his vocals or just production. This album is very important to society as a whole, and I love it very much for that. So 10 out of 10 S tier. I fucking love this album. Fucking rules. It's great.
I low-key wish I found this at an earlier time. I feel like this would have sent the trajectory of like my music listening to like a completely different direction to where I was at when it came out.
But hey, man, at least you listened to it.
That's true.
It's always never too late. But we have one more album to discuss to kind of tie back into the whole theme of societal commentary. So, shall we hop into Animals by Pink Floyd?
Let's do it.
Good shit. So, Animals was released January 21st, 1977 on Harvest and Columbia Records, and it is the 10th studio album by iconic English progressive rock band, and also my favorite band of all time, Pink Floyd. Animals saw Pink Floyd continue their streak of releasing decade-defining albums, with this time centering their newest project around criticizing the political climate of Britain at the time, and using George Orwell's Animal Farm as an overarching theme and vehicle for that criticism. This album also saw tensions rise between the band members and inadvertently birthed the concept of their next album, The Wall, while they were on tour for this project.
Now, for those listening at home, originally you were going to pick The Wall and this album.
Yeah.
What was the deciding moment where you found like TPAB and this album to have like similar themes? Was that like the moment where you were like, oh man, fuck The Wall, let's do that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was listening to TPAB and was like, oh shit. Oh,
Wait a minute.
Oh, and I literally texted AJ and I was like, bro, hold on. Like, I know I said this, but I have an idea. And like, can we do this? And it's like, I love The Wall. The Wall is one of my favorite albums. Pink Floyd, as AJ knows, is also one of my favorite groups of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'll never have any problem talking about Pink Floyd.
But that's such an opportunity to tackle.
Yeah, to be able to blend hip hop and
prog rock.
And I'm gonna always take a chance to do that.
Exactly.
Like, we had fucking our neighbors came over for a band practice because they heard us playing, and he's got like a little 7-year-old, and he was like, "Can I watch the band?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" I brought him in, and we played "Have a Cigar" from Pink Floyd. I was never missing the opportunity to show a child Pink Floyd. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, it was just I was sitting there listening to. I think the exact track I was listening to was "Institutionalized," and that's where I was like, oh wow, like when you think about themes, because I was having a trouble coming up with a theme for The Wall and Animals other than just it being Pink Floyd and they lead into each other, and like the beef that was going on
inadvertently kind of led to one or the other.
So I was like, let's something like that'll be more fun to talk about other than just my obsession and AJ's obsession of Pink Floyd. So that's when I was like, boom, Kendrick.
We got it.
Yeah, my nigga.
I had listened to bits and pieces of TPAB before, but I've never listened to The Wall or Animals
in full.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
I made our lead singer listen to Animals in full, and he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, you're welcome. Yeah, Fataday. I made Fataday do it. I was like, get stoned, lay in your bed, and do nothing but listen to Animals. I was like, just put your headphones in and just do it. And he was like, you were right. And I was like, yeah, I fucking always am. Like, what do you mean, dude? But no, Animals is, in my opinion, like top Pink Floyd work.
Definitely. It earned a spot on the core four for Pink Floyd. Very much so.
I would just like to say, fuck Roger Waters.
True. Very much.
Because Richard Wright killed that shit. Like he is all over that on organ and keys and whatever else he's playing, and he doesn't even have writing credits for it.
No.
So
it blows.
Yeah.
Richard Wright, unsung hero of Pink Floyd, and it's bullshit that he got ousted after The Wall. That shit sucks.
Yeah. Nick Mason doesn't have any writing credits either, and like regardless, Nick Mason was like, I didn't do anything but play drums, but still, like
exactly, like you participated. Yeah. You deserve credit.
I don't see Roger Waters writing drum parts, like. And the coolest song on the album, you didn't even play bass on.
That's true.
Terrible.
Well, without further ado, shall we hop right in?
Hell yeah.
This album starts with Pigs on the Wing, Part 1, which is a nice intro that bookends this album. very much sets the tone for it, as you hear this kind of like scathing lyrics about just like being a shitty person.
Yeah.
Which is definitely kind of reflected again at the very end, and it basically is a very nice segue into the overall concept of this album, that being societal commentary and shitty people, using the comparison of pigs to people as well. You know, it's just very simple, straightforward acoustic guitar. I think I prefer part 2 to part 1, but I think it's very solid.
I agree on the preferring part 2
Yeah.
to part 1, and I feel like it's because of the guitar sound.
Yeah.
And I just like the choices that Roger Waters makes on his guitar tone when he's playing acoustic guitar is always questionable, but I feel like it works with the way that he sings.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to like the roboticness, for lack of a better term, of how he sounds when he's singing and playing on that song is very fitting for the rest of the album.
Very much.
But I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'll be skipping this when I'm not in the mood and I just want to get right into right into it.
Especially what follows this track. I don't blame you.
Like,
Yeah.
But still, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Thematically, like equating the hedonism and like hedonistic nature of humans to like pigs that will eat and consume everything and anything. I just really appreciated like that on this track.
Yeah.
It's a great setup for what's to come.
That's the only Pink Floyd love song.
But let's hop right into the meat of this album, the big 3 tracks. First up, we have Dogs, one of the best Pink Floyd songs of all time.
Easily.
Yeah, this shit is incredible.
Hands down.
17 minutes, every fucking minute is earned. And that goes for this whole album, in my opinion.
It's like a play.
Yeah, it's all separated into acts.
Yeah, it's the way that they can formulate long ass songs to not bore you.
Yeah,
is insane. I don't understand it. I don't understand the science. I don't want to fucking understand it. I just want to listen to it.
Exactly.
And it's crazy that you can sit there and make 17-minute songs, 20-minute songs, 23 minutes. Yeah, like to sit there and write something that long. The album's 47 minutes long, and 17 of it is that one
track.
Crazy ass song. And it's insane. The guitar represents, in my mind, the guitar playing represents the story and the lyricism without using lyrics. And the way that David Gilmour talks on his fucking guitar, making it sound like a dog, is crazy.
I know.
The
that part is
squeals,
crazy.
And it like to sit there and be like, all right, we're going to have these little tiny ass verses telling a story and
instrumental breakdown.
Use the instrumental breakdowns to continue the stories of like the bass sounding like a thumping horse chasing after the dog.
Yeah.
Or the
like the tom fills that also kind of like fill that role.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Dude, fucking geniuses.
I know. Like you wouldn't really expect that, but like based off like this production style, they're able to convey that so perfectly. Like as you said, like making it sound like a dog, like it makes them like they use the talk box to like bark or like to squeal like dogs and pigs.
And you sound like a whimpering puppy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's genius to sit there and try to tell a story with instruments and people be able to understand it.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild.
Like you said, lost art form, the performance of music.
I'm going to go a step further and didn't know and say that I didn't even know that they were not real.
Oh, you thought that like they were actual? Like,
I straight up thought that they were like
some
real.
of them are real.
Yeah.
Like some of the sounds are real, but there's during the first Dog's guitar solo when he's doing like that, wah, 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 that's him playing with the whammy bar and hitting the strings at a very specific fucking rate.
I straight up thought that it was real.
Yeah, it's fucking
Like,
it's
I
genius.
straight up didn't even think that that he made that with his guitar. Like that's insane.
The pig noises on pigs, that's
Yep,
talkbox.
exactly.
That's not a pig, that's talkbox. And it's
Roger Waters, so it's kind of a pig.
yeah, right.
One might say, yeah.
But to sit there and use your instruments in an animalistic, expressionistic way and it still be able to carry over and be musical is a underappreciated and underrated talent.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can go sit there and fucking play fast as shit, go wild, and be ballsy. And you can sit there and be bluesy and have your soul and do all that. But to be able to mix the two and create something that isn't an instrumental sound takes real fucking talent. Like,
Very much so.
that shit is hard as hell.
Yeah.
I tried learning all 17 minutes of that fucking song, bro. No.
It's tough.
Like, yeah. And it's not even tough on the aspects of technique. It's tough on the well, I mean, yeah, I guess it technically is technique, figuring out how to like make these sounds. But it's like he's put in there and has like his one guitar into fucking 4 preamps and the whole pedal board, and then his pedal board's going to another pedal board, and then his pedal board's going to the studio monitor, and he's like, it's crazy to sit there and think of like, they probably sat there and was like, all right, I'm gonna turn this dial just a little bit and turn this one just a little bit, and like spent hours
perfecting that tone.
yeah, and then boom, I'm gonna throw it on an album and make my guitar sound like a
for
dog.
17 minutes.
Crazy.
Fuck you, David Gilmour.
I wish I could be.
Yeah, right, bro. I mean that with all due respect. You're one of my favorite guitarists, but fuck you.
Because you're so good.
Yeah, dude.
God, like, nah, really, that is a real talent. Because I straight up couldn't even like,
Yeah.
I couldn't discern that there were real or I thought it was all real. Like throughout the entire album, whatever I was hearing. So all power to you.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
They're talented in the studio.
They're fucking. Do you know they built their own studio for this album?
Did they really?
I was listening to a video today about it this morning because I was like wanted to get as much info as I could, and they were having issues after "Wish You Were Here," and this was I believe 75.
Yeah.
And they didn't play for the whole entire year because they spent the year building their studio for this.
Oh shit.
And it was Nick Mason, Roger Waters, and one of their friends, and they bought this fucking factory and were like, bada bing, bada boom, we're going to build this whole studio. And 2 of the songs, Sheep and Dogs, were songs that they were performing pre this album. And then they brought them in, remastered them, changed the fucking key, and rewrote all the lyrics, and were like, boom.
This is it.
Yeah.
Good shit.
And it was like the first album in a while where they were like, oh, we're stress-free, like, we can just create, like we have our own space. We don't have to pay for studio time, so we have as much time as we want.
Completely creative, like freedom.
Yeah, they could sit there and play at 4 in the fucking morning and not be bothered.
Get every setting just right that they need.
Exactly. So it's like when you think of how unstressed they were, like in the musical sense, like obviously, you know, the album is a very deep.
It's very heavy.
Yeah. So it's like they weren't that unstressed, but they were unstressed enough to be able to actually convey their stress in such a fucking monstrous way. They're wild.
That they are. I think like instrumentation wise, like this whole song is done immaculately. In terms of pacing, it's a lot of like verses and like instrumental breaks, but each break is very much intentional to kind of add on to the whole story. And like every time that drops out with the that always fucking hits. It's such a great moment. And I love how David Gilmour and Roger Waters both take the stage as vocalists too. This is the only track that Gilmour sings, but he uses it like every moment perfectly. Very much showing off like his vocal talents. And then it switches over to Roger, who after like the more kind of gentle delivery of Gilmour goes for the more scathing, venomous final lyrics at the very end, like really hammering that point home, discussing like the overall theme of like dogs, like dog eat dog world, just doing what they can to survive. It's just a very brilliantly done song, and I just love every section of it. Every instrumentalist is at the top of their game, and it's fantastic.
I was going to say I like the way the keys fill in, like in the middle of the mix with the other band. I feel like they kind of pad things out really nicely. I also love the part, I think it's at like the 6-minute mark, where there's like an acoustic guitar here, an acoustic guitar there, and then like the solo that rips in the middle. Yeah, that was a very, very nice touch. But again, y'all kind of hit the nail on the head for everything great about this song.
I watched Les Claypool's Flying Frog Brigade play Animals in its entirety.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was insane.
I'm sure you fucking killed that.
Dude, they did amazing. I forget who I remember he has like John Lennon's son with him.
Sean or Julian?
Sean.
Gotcha.
And then he has he has somebody else's famous son. Starsky.
Zdarsky?
Richard Ringo's son, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
like
know.
Zach Starsky or whatever.
Lingo. Little
Yeah,
Lingo.
Lingo Starkey. Yeah, there it is.
He's got little Ringo. And
Pinky Ringo. Yeah.
little Ringo is nasty, bro. He was sitting there he was Nick Mason in the shit out
Nice.
of it. And I was like, and bro, they did it with one guitarist.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like,
That's
and he was
impressive.
doing the acoustic and the electric. Like he had his
Swapping
acoustic.
out.
Yeah, he had
That's
acoustic standing up.
crazy.
And it sounded like a full fucking album. And I was like, how the fuck are you doing this? And then I look at his pedal board and I'm like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. But it was crazy.
Yeah, one fucking
Like,
guitar
it's-
doing all that.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're insane.
More power to you.
Yeah, but fucking, I wish that I could have seen prime Pink Floyd do
Oh my
this.
God, yeah.
Because to me, like, this is their greatest album. Like, front to back, that is the only one that I will not like if I'm listening to my vinyl, I'm not skipping shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there and fucking move the needle. Like this is the only album that I can ever think about where I'm not touching the needle the entire time, unless it's like I'm sitting there and listening on Spotify, because then I'm definitely gonna skip fucking
Pigs on the Wings part 1.
I'm skipping it sometimes, but I'm not gonna skip it on the vinyl.
Yeah.
But goddamn, dude.
I can see why. It's such like a tightly constructed album with like every minute counts, and they use it to their like benefit. And go back to Nick Mason, I think he's one of the most underrated drummers of all time. Like his stuff is pretty simplistic, but it's super effective.
It is.
Yeah.
I guess because I'm not a drummer, it doesn't seem simplistic.
And
But
like
that
I guess
shit
in
seems crazy to me.
in terms of like comparisons, I guess like someone like Taylor Hawkins or like Buddy Rich, like the super fast drum, like Neil Peart,
Yeah.
like prog drummer specifically. It's like not as like involved or as like intense, but like it's very much intentional. Like the way that he fills space, like the use of his tom drums, they're always used to accent like certain passages, and like they always kind of add on like the certain effect that the band is trying to convey. Like even though it's not very involved, it's always very necessary, which I think is a very underrated skill to have as a drummer.
Yeah, like I think when I think of great drumming, I think of Money.
Yeah,
Like, and I
dude.
know that's not this album, but like that's one of those songs where it's like the drumming fits everything
Yeah.
perfectly. Like there is not a single thing that he did wrong on that drum track, and whatever he was doing was genius. And it's like people don't appreciate Pink Floyd enough, in my opinion.
Very
They're
much.
just like, they make long songs. They make
Society,
noise.
guitar solo. It's like, no, shut the fuck up and listen, dude.
Fucking listen. Like,
Yeah.
that's why people didn't listen to Pink Floyd enough growing up, and that's why they suck.
Amen. Moving on to Pigs, 3 different ones.
Greatest fucking song in the world.
I love this track. I think it's fantastic.
I bought a talk box
Just
so I can
because.
play this
Yes.
song.
That's dope as hell.
And now we use it at every performance.
Yeah, and now I play that shit all the time, bro. David Gilmour once again.
Fuck you.
Yeah, like the talkbox solo itself is so genius because you think of talkbox and you think of Peter Frampton and you think of like Earth, Wind and Fire,
Yeah, Stevie
and
Wonder.
shit like that. Like you don't think Pink Floyd, and it's because you don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah,
with this
man.
talkbox solo in the middle of Pigs, like to A, sound like a pig, B, use your guitar again as a form of expression to be able to not have lyrics but use the guitar as words is fucking genius.
Yeah.
It is so hard to make the guitar talk. Anybody can play guitar, but making your guitar talk is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And
Literally.
yeah, no, but like, and to sit there and have the squeals in the talkbox solo and that melodic, ridiculously slow change of like him just doing simple like wow 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 wow, like doing simple shit like that, and then that ending fucking solo of
But
him
when
just- like and him just being so angry
Yeah.
and like
You
oh,
hear the
God.
emotion from the instrument, which is awesome.
And it's so hard to do that, and nowadays you don't have music that does that.
Yeah.
People don't give a shit about guitar solos anymore, and that makes me sad. Fuck everybody who hates guitar solos, because they are just as important as everything else in a song, says the guitarist. But it's just the attack of Roger's voice on this,
Yeah.
and the way that he sings this song, matching with David Gilmour's guitar, is so disgusting. Like,
The way they blend such like scathing like lyrics and like this just such like hard hitting vocal delivery with like that just like wailing like cry for help that like is coming from David's guitar is immaculate.
and it's like to connect it to Kendrick, it's like both albums are considered hard listening because of the type of music that you have with the jazz, and then on the other side is like the complete hard rockness. But when you break it down and go through Kendrick's story of him being the sheep, which like, yes, he's a caterpillar and a butterfly. And it's like the caterpillars, you know, if you want to have a caterpillar colony, it's like you got the caterpillars who see the butterflies and want to become them, but don't know like, hey, when I become that, like I only got 3 days to live, bro. Like I got a week max.
Yeah.
So it's like you spend your whole time trying to be this giant thing, and then you become the giant thing and realize that being the giant thing fucking sucks. And it's like to sit there and be like, hey, Pigman.
Haha.
Yeah, like and then you're like, oh shit, wait, I'm also
Sherrod, you are.
like, I'm also the pig.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just crazy to think about that because it's like Pink Floyd was on top of the fucking
Oh
world.
yeah, dude.
like their tours were fucking crazy. To have
So much
money
production.
to be able to do the wall tour after this,
like puppets and performances and like set pieces.
and the wall itself,
man.
like, bro,
Yeah.
y'all were on top of the fucking shit. Y'all were misusing your influence.
That they were.
Mr.
Yeah.
Roger Waters.
Because he spit on a fan on this tour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, it's Roger is one of those people where it's like, nigga, you should have been listening to Kendrick because
Honestly,
you fucked up one of the greatest bands of all time because you're an
Your
asshole.
fucking ego couldn't keep it in check.
And it's just fucking wild to me to think like there's these people who create these fucking fantastic forms of art that are still just really shitty people.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
you can come up with fucking the Sistine Chapel and paint that bitch, but you still might suck, Michelangelo. Which, like, I don't know if he sucks. I don't know what he was doing
Headcanon,
back
Michelangelo
then.
sucks.
Yeah.
Was also in the studio with Kendrick.
He was awesome.
That album is the Sistine Chapel. I mean, let's
Honestly,
be real.
for real.
Honest, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those are very like apt comparisons and very apt words about like celebrity culture and how they are they can misuse their influence and like be shitty people, even if they're saying some things that resonate with you.
Yeah, I'm not saying David Gilmour was great,
Yeah.
but what the fuck?
It wasn't Roger Waters.
Was he spitting on people?
I don't see that.
Yeah.
He was just kind of checked out.
Yeah, like, and I get it. I'd be checked out too, having to deal with fucking that shit, because it's like you have people like Nick Mason who
They're like passive. Like
he
they don't
just
really
wants to
care.
play fucking drums,
exactly,
bro.
man. Yeah.
My boy just wants to do some shows. He wants to play some music, and that's it. I feel like that's how people like Kendrick are. Like,
Yeah.
he's just somebody who just wants to fucking make his music and do his art. Why you gotta have a big ego and then fuck
Yeah.
around on shit? And it was like, that's just wild, motherfucker. You're a pig. You
think-
are what you eat, and he be eating bacon.
That he does. I think it is like very interesting that like, you know, Roger Waters kind of like become the pig that he's like so against on this album, because like the overall concept of this album, it compares people to dogs, pigs, and sheep based off George Orwell's Animal Farm, with like the pigs representing politicians, specifically those in Britain at the time, because like, you know, there was a shitty like governmental practice they were doing. And I think like this track very much kind of like hits the nail on the head. It's a very biting track with like the more like kind of slowed down, like very staccato, like methodical beat that it has going on. He has the cowbell that's like persistent all the way through. It's like really like hitting the nail on the head about like how shitty their situation is in Britain at the time. And just like calling the government out, like, you are a charade, like you are almost a laugh, but this is the reality you have to like live in, so it's not fucking funny. Like, change, because like we're suffering for it.
I want to laugh, but I can't.
Exactly, because I live here. Anyway, Matt, anything you have to add?
I'm just like observing. I'm not even here.
I'm so sorry.
No,
man.
it's okay.
I talk,
Listen, we've had.
I talk way too much.
No, that's good for
Yeah,
a
that's what we
podcast
want.
format.
Yeah.
That's great. I just like, you know, also with guest episodes, you want to give the guests room
Oh,
to
exactly.
like
Yeah, this is their time to shine.
to be like passionate about the
Yeah.
shit that they bring us. But really, all of my stuff is like just in terms of how the track actually sounds.
Yeah.
Like, again, the keys on this are very nice.
wonderful.
I think I like them even more than like the
On
last
Dogs.
track.
Oh yeah, they
Honestly.
they're big
Oh, the
moment to shine here.
arpeggiato shit is crazy.
I feel like what's nice about the keys is that like it gives it sort of like almost like an Elton John like honky tonk kind of feel.
Yeah.
But then it has much more of like psychedelic roots in it.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I really fuck with a lot. Like, it's a very nice like happy medium right there. What else was I gonna say? The way that fucking guitar wails at the very end of the
Yeah.
track is just like it's
immaculate.
unreal. It's fucking unreal.
I'll also give Roger Waters his flowers. His bass work all across this album is very fucking good.
Yeah.
David Gilmour plays bass on this whole song.
On this whole song, okay.
The whole song of Pigs, that is all David Gilmour. Fuck Roger Waters.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Which the rest of the album, he
Link
did
in
great.
description.
Yes.
But that was another thing that I learned watching that
Yeah,
documentary
that
earlier
was
today
him.
was that David Gilmour did not like what Rogers was doing for the bass line. He was like, oh, why don't you do this? And Rogers was like, why don't you just fucking record it?
I was like, okay.
And he's like,
Fine, I will.
yeah. And then boom.
It was
Pigs.
perfect.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom,
Which
boom, 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 boom.
the acoustic guitar on Pigs, Roger plays.
Gotcha.
And which like
Oh.
that section after,
Yeah.
like the I love that. Yeah, I love that. Dude, when AV plays that is like my favorite part of the
Yeah. Oh my god, I love those fills so much. All those lead-ins are perfect.
dude, genius.
Mason knows how to segue into a section. It's beautiful. But if we got nothing else, we can move on to Sheep.
Which is my favorite track off of this record.
Really
I
nice.
genuinely really like it a lot.
I think I would agree. It's either that one or Dogs. When I was younger, it was Sheep. Dogs is really fucking good though now. But I love Sheep so much. It's a great track.
I felt like the bass is like the most prominent on this one,
Oh yeah.
especially as it like really starts to like get more intense and intensify,
Yeah.
and then the drums finally crash in, and it's just so satisfying.
I love Gilmore's fucking chord choices for this song.
Yeah.
Like that little one section where it's like like his, I love his chord ideas. Like he be just making up some ugly chords.
And he makes them fucking work.
And they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Like again, not on this album, but the intro to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Like if you
Yeah.
play that as a chord, it's ugly as hell. But doing the like genius, bro. You're fucking genius, David Gilmour.
And I hate you for it.
The beauty of theory
I'm
is
such a
that
hater.
even the ugliest chords can become beautiful in the context of like chords that it fits around with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's what I love.
And I think the key work specifically on this track is probably my favorite. Just
Oh
the
my God,
Rhodes
yeah.
piano is fucking beautiful.
It is very nice.
I love it. And I especially love like the section towards like I think it's the bridge when it has like the Bible verse that they're quoting.
Oh, yeah.
And like it has like the talk box with like those like oscillated synths as like a voice changer. That part's so fucking cool.
It does hit.
Yeah.
It really does hit.
And you have, of course, like the studio imagery with like the sheep noises that like introduce this song, with the sheep, of course, being like the masses that you blindly follow. The very obvious criticism there. And then basically Roger Waters saying like a wake up call, like, hey, get with it, man. Like you're also part of the problem by not acting.
Which to connect to Pimp and
Kendrick.
Butterfly could be very much so Kendrick being like realizing that he's institutionalized. So it's like, you know, him understanding like, oh shit, like I'm a part of this problem. Like I am very much so misusing my influence. Back to that shit again. And it's just crazy to think about all of the celebrities who have this ability to use their platform for creating
Betterment,
music
yeah.
like Animals and like To Pimp a Butterfly, but rather just come out with dog shit. Like, it's insane to me. Like, you know, we have so many artists who, like, art is art. I'm not trying to be a hater. Like, you know,
Like make what you want.
yeah,
Yeah.
but put some substance in it.
Yeah.
At least make it worth something rather than just giving somebody a bag of dog shit and being like, here's some chocolate. Like, don't polish a turd.
Yeah,
Like,
it's still a
fucking,
turd.
yeah. And it's just amazing to think about how us as people, like, Kendrick probably didn't fucking think about animals when he was making this album. But here we are sitting here being like, oh, I'm going to reach and try to find every possible connection between Animals and fucking To Pimp a Butterfly, something that came out 40 years apart from each other. Like, let's see, 75
I
to...
think, 40.
Yeah.
Because Animals is going to celebrate its 50th in 2 years. Or
Holy
3 years.
shit, that's crazy. We're young as hell, bro.
I know, right?
Wow, I love getting to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the connection. Like, throughout Kendrick's album, he has influences from Lucy and Uncle Sam being like, you can do this, you have this, we can give you this, we got you that. And it's like, you know, it's somewhat of a wake-up call when he himself is like, I'm institutionalized, I can still kill me a nigga. Or on why can't I think of the name of the track? I'm just gonna skip back to the other one I was thinking of, but on where it's like, you know, he's finally realizing like I'm a part of this, but I can still love myself. Like, it's really cool to think about like artists being like, hey, there's a lot of things going on in our world. We are aware of it, whether you think we are or not. Like, we're still human.
Yeah.
And we go through shit. We are just as much human as you, whether or not we have this status. So we are able to see what is going on in our current state of wherever we are, whether it's 70s Britain or 2015 Compton. Shit is shitty and we realize it. And we
can relate.
Exactly. And it's like people who, I feel like if you're not a musician, you don't care about the opinions of artists because you don't look for it in art. You know, it's like we are all people who thoroughly enjoy music. You guys have a fucking music podcast. So clearly you care about breaking down music and thinking about it in depth. If fucking everybody in the world thought more in depth about music, I feel like we would A, have better music, and B, have a better world. And that comes from both of these albums.
Yeah. I mean, that's very much valid because there's a lot of like social commentary that a lot of people kind of miss when they listen to it because they're focused, oh, the jazz music is boring. Like, oh, the song's 17 minutes long. It's like they don't care. Or it's like, or stuff just goes over their heads.
You rather listen to fucking dog shit for 17 minutes? Like, what? That's fucking crazy to me. Like, fucking, while we were talking earlier, I looked up 1989. That's like 7 songs, bro. 7 songs, and only 3 of them were fucking like some of her big hits. It was
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was Bad Blood.
I don't know why.
Style?
Blank Space, and I think Style was
Yeah.
was one of
Oh,
the
Shake
other
It
ones.
Off.
Thank you. Yeah.
What's
And
What's
it's
ironic is that Kendrick is on Bad Blood.
I know,
So it's
right?
like the fucking betrayal.
Right?
Jesus Christ.
But it's like, y'all rather go listen to that happy shit to distract you from what's really going on because you aren't brave enough to be like, hey, shit's going down. And that's why shit goes down, because people don't want to face the shit that's
The
going
sheep.
down. So
and then history fucking repeats itself.
there, high five. Perfect.
Sorry, Matt. I sorry.
No, it's okay. And then history fucking repeats itself.
Yeah,
Much like
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
very
did.
much
Sorry. I saw opportunity
That
and I
was
took
good.
it.
That was really
You know?
good.
That was great.
Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, Shiva's fucking incredible. Of like the 3-part suite, it's one of my favorites in there. I think it's perfectly well done. Very much like a wake up call to the blind masses, but delivered in such a jazzy way because it's like
Yeah.
a 6/8 time signature, which is really cool.
I love 6/8. Like, it's probably one of my favorite. First of all, duple meter, we fucking love it. But also, like, oh my gosh, just I love when I love when songs can have like a bouncy feel, and this
Yeah.
really is reminiscent of like the kind of the classic rock
Yeah.
of the time, I guess. So I fucking love that shit.
Yeah. It was really well done. Richard Wright goes the fuck off, which I very much am happy about. And even David Gilmour, who has more of like an understated role in this track, still uses it.
fucking
Yeah,
great guitar
exactly.
work. Still amazing guitar work.
And Nick Mason, I've already said my piece with him, but he's still fucking killing it. Don't you worry. But yeah, Sheep is just an excellent kind of closer to this trio of tracks. And if we got nothing else,
I will say, I did have an intrusive thought while listening to this.
Yeah.
Because there's the one part where the vocals are like, "You better watch out" or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I just went like, "You better not cry." like
there'll be claws about.
I laughed to myself about that for a little too long. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm
Hey, man.
laughing about it right now.
But genuinely, I think it is my favorite track on this record.
Yeah.
I really, really just love everything instrumentally and like thematically about it.
I wouldn't be surprised if like any of these big 3 were like the favorite because like they're all just so good in their own right. But if we got nothing else, we move on to the closing track, Pigs on the Wing Part 2. I think this is again a really good finale. Very much ties the album full circle, basically repeating the melody of Part 1, but with a more positive kind of spin on it.
Yeah.
Basically like the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a really kind of intimate, close moment that, Roger Waters is like very angry on this album, but he's very tender here as he's kind of, just like saying like, hey, I still have someone to like go home to at the end of the day. And like, being like loved is all that matters.
You know what he's really saying?
What's that?
I love myself.
That is also true.
Boom.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, it's another comparison between I and To Pimp a Butterfly, and Kendrick is like,
Yep.
or To Pimp a Butterfly is Kendrick. To Pimp a Butterfly
And
and Animals is the ending is like, they've realized that no matter what, the main thing that matters at the end of the day is having someone to love or loving yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then everything gonna be all right. And
We gonna be all right.
thank you. You knew where I was going with it. I love you.
I think because like we have Pigs on the Wing. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think out of 1 and 2, I definitely like this one
Definitely.
more because I feel like it definitely feels a lot more substantive,
Yeah.
lyrically and like musically, and it bookends the album. It really makes the first one worth it. I feel like
Yeah.
so.
And it definitely is like kind of like a nice encapsulation of the whole album.
Yeah.
Basically, like, making the journey worth it, I would say.
This one is not a skip.
Exactly.
No, it's not.
We let that one play out. But yeah, if we got nothing else to say, go on to our final thoughts.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Tim, what are your thoughts on Animals by Pink Floyd?
I think that Animals is probably Pink Floyd's, in my opinion, best work. Besides like Echoes as a song itself, because I think that is very much so like a very huge representation of what everybody working together in Pink Floyd can create.
Yes.
Which, regardless of what Roger Waters would like to say, Animals is one of the greatest representations of what Pink Floyd all together when they are not under stress
God.
and don't have to deal
Yeah.
with the record company and can just write and do. And it's fucking incredible. The guitar work is one of the reasons, in my opinion, that David Gilmour is a staple in guitar playing. I don't give a fuck about The Wall. I don't give a fuck about Comfortably Numb. Dogs is 10 times the amount of amazing that fucking shit is. And Pigs on just by itself, the guitar work is fucking ridiculous and amazing. And I wish that people realized that Pink Floyd had shit other than Dark Side of the Moon and the Wall.
Yeah.
And if they want a good introduction into Pink Floyd's other shit, this is where they should
Oh,
start.
very much so. Yeah, listen to those big core four, then like go anywhere after that.
It's like, and out of the core four, like I love Dark Side of the Moon, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like out of the core four, this is the album that is probably, in my opinion, like the all around
prime Pink Floyd.
Like, because The Wall is Roger Waters' stupid ass pet project, which is great. It's a fantastic album, but Animals is everybody working together on some fucking crazy shit. They're not sad about Syd Barrett. Like they just want to work, and they have
something to say.
Yeah, they're enjoying it, and it's substance, and like all of their albums are concept albums, but this to me is the coolest concept. So
very much.
I think I'm giving this bitch 10 out of 10 for it being one of my favorite albums of all time. And I'm giving that shit an A++++.
Hell yeah.
With some extra credit, because
maybe an S tier.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000% S tier, bro. This is double S tier. Shit is amazing.
Yeah. Matt?
Well, okay. Truth be told, in my listening experience, I definitely at first had kind of like a tough time with this album. But I will say, on the car ride over here, and after hearing you guys get so passionate with like your explanations, I think you kind of bumped it up a letter for me.
Let's go.
Like dead ass. You guys brought it up from like B+, I think, to an A+.
Wow.
Like genuinely.
Air high five.
Like,
so hanging out with Pink Floyd fans will do.
Yeah.
No, I mean, other than that, like instrumentally, it is fabulous. Like all across the board. Even the fake credits to Roger Waters for certain parts done by David Gilmour.
Yep.
Yeah.
His name. Okay. I think like this kind of goes beyond my opinions of the album a little bit, but overall this episode like has been so insightful for me, especially like connecting all these dots between the two records. So I feel like even though they're not like exactly so related, like in terms of like the production techniques or like
the
genre,
context,
even just the times that they're recorded and like produced, I feel like it's weird. I feel like we created a moment here.
Yeah, man.
We straight up this might honestly have been one of the most insightful episodes of the podcast we've had.
Oh, I agree.
But like circling back to the album, I feel like honestly they do a good job on all fronts with the themes, with the music, with the vocals. The vocals, we didn't really talk much about the vocals, but genuinely they were pretty good on this record. I always appreciated whatever like singing stuff they ever did on like any of their albums from what little I've listened to Pink Floyd. But I think I'm gonna have to give this like an A+ and like maybe like honestly maybe around the same number that I gave Kendrick's,
like 8.5.
8.5. Yeah. Nah, honestly,
Fuck yeah, dude.
I feel like this went from me not going to listen further to probably giving another listen on the way home.
You should.
Good shit, man.
I feel like I'm feeling it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah.
Happy to do
I feel like my job was done as a Pink Floyd fan. Fuck yeah.
Success.
You brought this child, Pink Floyd, like that child before.
To pimp an animal.
Dude, I felt so fucking cool. And he was sitting there like,
Oh, with Fataday?
yeah. Oh no, it was the AV band.
Oh, yeah,
And-
the little guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, he's sitting there like fucking dancing and shit.
It's gonna be me on the way home. Yeah, gonna do that. For those who can't see, well, I guess that would be everybody. Now that I think about it,
For those not clairvoyant.
yeah. For those who are not here, I should really say Tim did a very, very nice little dance. That is what I'm gonna be doing on the ride home. Can confirm.
Ken Kaniff.
I'll put it on the Instagram.
There he is.
Hell yeah.
Ken Kaniff.
I wrestle with where this album ranks for me for Pink Floyd. It's either number 2 or number 3. Kind of goes back and forth between the wall. I'm a Dark Side boy through and through. That's my number 1. I fucking love Dark Side. It's my goat. My favorite album of all time.
He loves us so much that we're gonna give it to Tom to review. And I'm
Oh my
so
God.
The fuck
excited.
we're not.
I'm so excited.
can I please be a part of that?
Can you help defend me? Yes.
It's just gonna be me and Tom. We're just gonna talk about it.
I'm not allowed.
He's not allowed.
Oh my God.
AJ can sit quietly over in the. No, I'm kidding.
You just see me like tapping my foot angrily in the background.
We hear you tapping his foot angrily.
I'm letting you know now, I'm not listening to that episode, so I don't fucking kill Tom.
No, I get it. After Random Access Memories, I'm fucking with you.
my God.
I'm fucking with you. I've been so pissed off since that episode.
Can I get to my final thoughts before we finish this?
Honestly, let's just say this for after the podcast. I've been seething. But AJ, continue.
As I said, I wrestle with my ranking because this album is fucking phenomenal. It's either number 2 or number 3. Right now, it's number 2. I fucking love Animals to death. As you said, everything about this album just fucking works. Like when Pink Floyd is firing on all cylinders, they can do anything. Like Gilmour's guitar work, it soars all across this album, encapsulating a wide range of emotions while also just shredding so fucking hard. Waters' bass work is surprisingly funky with all the emphasized upbeats that he has, as well as like traveling around the neck. But he also always holds it the fuck down and like adds so much weight to each like note. I already said my piece about Nick Mason, but he's always been a favorite drummer of mine. And I love how deep his kit sounds, and even though the fills are simple, they're exactly what each track needs to fill the space perfectly. Wright is the unsung hero of all Pink Floyd work. His key work is magnificent, especially on Sheep. They provide such an important layer of ambience and texture that these tracks wouldn't be the same without him. The concept of George Orwell's Animal Farm is executed brilliantly, providing social commentary on the political climate of England with venomous, scathing lyrics criticizing the politicians that are in power, the masses that mindlessly follow, and the dogs that would do anything they can to get ahead. It's really like potent, and it very much is still relevant today, even in our society, even in America. And like it's a very timeless album that is just immaculately produced. The band is firing on all cylinders in terms of production and playing and vocals. As you mentioned, the vocals are still very well done. Roger Waters is a very like unique kind of vocal styling, but it is very much perfect for the tone he's trying to convey, especially on Pigs, and Sheep too. And David Gilmour, his role is like a little more laid back in terms of like the lead vocals, but it's still very like palpable and relevant on Dogs. This whole album is just fucking incredible. And Roger Waters, even though he's a bit of a prick, I gotta commend him. This album is I love Animals to death. Never gets old. So I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10 S tier. I fucking love this album to death.
It's fucking amazing album.
It's great.
I will say too, like, I love when artists take literary works and they make it into something musical. Like, this is the third instance where it's worked out really, really well. Like, you think of Led Zeppelin and how they adapted shit from like
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. You think of this, and then there's another band, the Alan Parsons Project. They're fucking,
iRobot.
They're fucking amazing. iRobot, and then also Tales of Mystery and Imagination, all Edgar Allan Poe shit.
Nice.
The whole album.
That sounds cool as shit. I'll have to check that out.
Dude, I might have to play some after this. This might be a future episode.
Good shit. I'm down.
I've been kind of getting out of my rock rut by listening to them. They're fucking amazing. But anyway, I think it's really cool to see that sort of idea fulfilled again in such a unique way too. Like, oh my gosh. Having the 17-minute suite that like earns every single minute is not easy, and the fact that they didn't half-ass it whatsoever, production-wise, musically, thematically, like, it was honestly worth the listen.
Totally, man. I'm glad we could like convince you to like listen to more stuff. I'm glad that we could bump up that rating and like
I feel honored that we did that. That
yeah, dude, that's so cool.
So fucking cool.
I never really. I've listened to Dark Side all the way through, but that was while I was kind of a spaceman. So I feel like I didn't appreciate it as much as I needed to.
Yeah.
So I need to give that a re-listen. But this is cool. It's been a really unique experience. Like as my second, I guess technically first Pink Floyd album where I'm sober. So
good shit, man.
I'm never sober for Pink Floyd albums.
I need to listen to them for real, and then I can get there. You know what I mean?
Valid. But yeah, glad we could introduce you to this journey, Matt. And Tim, thank you for coming on.
Thank you
so
guys
much
for having me. I'm so excited. I'm a huge fan of your guys' podcast.
Thanks,
so
dude.
I love being a part of this. So thank you.
Appreciate it, dude.
We'd love to have you back again. Honestly.
Absolutely.
I will gladly come back, especially if I get to argue with Tom.
Oh, please.
Yo, Tom Hates album featuring Tim.
Tim hates
versus
Tom.
Tom.
Tim hates Tom.
I'll stick around for that one.
Oh man. Gosh.
But family heads, thank you all for listening. Check out Tim's band AV and our band Fataday Korngor. Links in the description. Anything else you want to say before we close out?
Should have never gave you niggas money.
Amen.
Amen.
As always, I'm your host AJ Tenari.
I'm Matt Glass.
I'm Tim Jones.
And we will see you all next week. Thank you for your constant love and support.
Peace. Bookends. That's the whole theme of the episode.
It's bookends.